Hello and welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. I'm your host, Trevor, and wow, the markets were green today. What an amazing day to be an investor today, Thursday, July 17th. As you can see by the heat map here on screen, the markets overall had a very bullish green pump, and investors are feeling extremely greedy, and rightfully so, because the good news that came in was all around the economic calendar and the initial jobless claims with some other statistics also. But on initial jobless claims, this really did spark the market because we did see the number come in better than forecasted. So Wall Street was expecting a number at 234,000, but we came in at a beat at 221,000, and the president took the opportunity to take another jab at the head of the Federal Reserve because Trump said too late, referring to Jerome Powell, his nickname. Great numbers just out, lower the rate, DJT. So Trump really wanting to see the rate lowered. We know this. He has been putting a lot of pressure on Jerome Powell. And we've also had this major catalyst in the after hours, and that is that the U.S. House has officially sent the bill to the president's desk. And so it was passed here in the after hours, and this is massive because this has everything to do with cryptocurrency and stable coins. So we've been covering this a lot this week, and it is very positive to see that this has officially passed to the House. And now that it is going to the president, it should get signed by Trump with no problem. And this week in general, I believe is only going to heat up because this week has been pretty green thus far. Hopefully the green does continue tomorrow, but next week should be really bullish in the markets, and the last week also, because we do have a lot of big players when it comes to earnings. So we are really in the tech earnings season right now. We have Tesla, we have the Google stocks, we have the NASDAQ, we have Intel all reporting next week, and the week after that gets even bigger when we have SoFi, PayPal, Microsoft, Meta, Robinhood, Coinbase, Apple, Amazon. And so earnings season is here, a massive last couple of weeks in the market, and I do believe that the markets will continue to push up. We have seen a big push in the markets these last couple of weeks, and despite all the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that the bears try to throw out, we have really been on some face-melting rallies. Today was huge for the markets, and all the plays that we're going to talk about today had some massive pumps. So we're going to first be visiting QBTS, which is D-Wave Quantum, and in general, the quantum sector has been seeing some crazy gains this last week. So not just D-Wave, but the whole sector. We're then going to visit a favorite on this channel. He's sitting right behind me. His name is BigBearAI, and we're going to finish with the Hood, and the Hood is making some people rich. That is Robinhood stock, but we're going to start out with QBTS, and as always, I just want to remind you all that this is not financial advice, and I always recommend that you do your own due diligence before making any financial decisions. But D-Wave Quantum, wow, what a day. Look at this massive green candlestick here. D-Wave Quantum went up by 13% all the way up to 1921. So we're at some all-time highs in D-Wave Quantum, and the entire quantum sector this week has seen some crazy momentum. We've seen a lot of the other plays have massive jumps. We saw Rigetti yesterday jump by about 30%. So if you're not already in the quantum sector, I definitely suggest getting into quantum, whether you are in the play that I'm about to talk about here, QBTS, or any of the other quantum computing stocks, or even just a major quantum index. If you've never heard of the major index, QTUM, this is the ETF for quantum computing. So this is a ETF that has a bunch of different quantum plays in there. So if you want to be involved in quantum, but you're not sure what you want to invest into, that would be a good safe spot to start to see the returns that we should only continue to see in quantum as the years go on, because in general, quantum is one of those technology plays that is really only in the beginning stages. So when we just talk about companies that have been disruptors and companies that have been the craziest over the years, it's always tech. Tech companies always see the most volume and see the most massive return on investment. That's where investors really flock to, because investors are always looking at the future, always looking at technology. It's been a lot of what has moved the markets this year. AI innovation, everything like that, and quantum is right up there with the best of them, because over the last 20 years, the quantum sector in general has been under a lot of research and development, but there have been a lot of breakthroughs this last year. And the reason why QBTS is my favorite quantum computing stock is because there are two types of quantum computers. So there is annealing quantum, and then there is gate model quantum. And most of the other, basically all of the other quantum computing stocks out there, they focus on the gate model side of quantum computing, while D-Wave does annealing. And the difference is, well, first off, the difference between quantum and a classical computer is quantum sets to resolve more complex issues. They have more qubits. With D-Wave, they recently did a big simulation when it came to magnetic materials. And so these computers can solve some serious issues. But the difference between annealing and gate model is set to solve even more complex issues, while annealing already solves complex issues, but can be used more in the real world today. The way D-Wave Quantum works, and they work with a lot of companies, quantum computers will help to solve a lot of issues when it comes to scheduling or weather forecast and a bunch of different different analytics and put it all into one. So they do work alongside classical computers, and D-Wave Quantum this last year has seen a massive rip up. When we just look at the technical analysis, we could see earlier in the year we were on this rising level of support and resistance, and in their last earnings call they announced a really great earnings. Their revenue more than 5x from any quarter previously, so they had their first double-digit quarter when it came to revenue. I believe they reported about 15 million, even beating Wall Street expectations, and because of that we did see this rip up within D-Wave Quantum, and this was life-changing for me. So I was in a bunch of options contracts at this time, and I rode the momentum up. So I did sell out of a lot of the options I had around here, but I am still holding a bunch of shares for the long term in D-Wave Quantum. And so it's actually incredible how easily predictable the technical analysis has really been on this play, because when we were bouncing on this level of support, when we even loaded up on even more options contracts, we forecasted that it was going to rip up at least to this rising level of resistance, and that was again because their earnings were coming up. It did that exactly. We got to these levels of being a bit overvalued, and that's when I was saying that we would most likely drop to this rising level of resistance, which is now the rising level of support. It did that exactly. It has bounced off that rising level of resistance, and what we are seeing currently is incredible. So I do believe that the momentum is going to continue within D-Wave, and when we look at the other technical indicators of the relative strength index and the MACD, it does appear that we could run higher there also, because the RSI is getting closer to levels of being overbought. Doesn't mean that we can't stay here for a bit longer, and the MACD does look like we should be seeing a very bullish cross up towards the upside. So quantum in general this year has been very volatile. These stocks can really do anything, and quantum, the whole quantum sector has been mind-blowing. I mean, if you look at where we were just last November in D-Wave Quantum, we were only at $1.30 at this time, and so the gains in quantum have been absolutely life-changing. I love quantum computing. If you were with me in real life, you would know how much I talk about quantum. I even annoy some of the people around me because I just talk about quantum. And something else to think about, by the way, with quantum computing, they do also have this massive short interest all the way up to 20%. And so this was another catalyst that got us initially really excited about D-Wave, was the massive short interest. And anytime you do have a massive short interest like this, there is a lot of squeeze potential, which we have seen in D-Wave. The short interest was a bit higher, still in the high 20s not long ago, when D-Wave was in those single digit ranges around $7 to $8, and we have popped to these levels of 19, but still a high short interest. So the bears are still betting against D-Wave Quantum. I would love to hear what everyone else thinks, if you're bullish or bearish on quantum. Again, I think this sector is just so interesting, and whether you are invested into this quantum play or another, I definitely suggest at least putting a small portion of your portfolio into quantum. Now, talking about high short interests and a stock that is in the single digit range territory right now, that would be BigBearAI, a favorite on this channel. He sits behind me in every video. He's always with us, and he has a short interest all the way up to 27%. So this is one of the highest short interests I have ever seen, and I think this is an unreasonable short interest because of everything that Big Bear has to offer, and I don't think that the value has truly even been realized with Big Bear yet, because with their quarter one earnings, they did announce what was a little bit of a disappointing earnings, but what we also got from this was that the company had yet to see all the money come in from the big government contracts that they have earned through the early part of this year. So we could be expecting to see that in this next earnings report, and even if we don't see it for quarter two of this year, we could see in the guidance they will mention this and how the backlog will build up. This is something something that happened with Palantir, and this is why a lot compare Big Bear to Palantir, because both are defense companies, but Palantir had gained a lot of contracts at one point. They had a lot of revenue that was still in the backlog. This was when investors were talking about Palantir at those single-digit areas when Palantir was below $10, and now we know that company is worth more than 150. So I could make a whole video about Palantir, but in general, when we look at the technical analysis on BigBearAI, we are seeing some very positive bullish movements right now. As I have mentioned in my videos over the weekend, we are seeing what appears to be a bullish flag growing within the Big Bear. We saw this massive rip up, then we started to see some consolidation, a little bit of bleeding, and now we are possibly seeing that bullish candle forming. So when we look at that on the short term, that's what it appears to be, and on the longer picture, we could be seeing a potential cup and handle building within the Big Bear, which would be very, very huge. I believe if that does happen, we will see Big Bear easily reach past the $10 mark. And with Big Bear, again, their big catalyst could be coming here within the next couple weeks, because Big Bear is going to be announcing their earnings in 14 days with all these other big tech giants releasing earnings at the same time. So I personally believe that the markets are going to be very bullish over this next couple of weeks. And this is great for Big Bear, because when we just talk about macroeconomic trends and how the macros affect different stocks and everything else in the market, in February, Big Bear was seeing a lot of momentum towards the upside. We saw them announce their new CEO, Kevin, and some of their big government contracts. But then in February, the markets started to get ugly. This was when a lot of the fear initially started around the tariffs and around Liberation Day, which at that point had yet to come. So the markets in February in general really started to bleed, and Big Bear was no exception. But now the market trends are looking a lot better, a lot better. Things are looking great when it comes to interest right now. We have gotten through some of these numbers. When it comes to interest recently, PCI and PPI, a little bit higher than some may have wanted, but still not too bad. And in general, when it comes to tariffs, a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt around tariffs, but really hasn't caused too much chaos within the markets yet. We haven't seen the inflation from tariffs be too bad. And then interest rates, well, things should be getting better there. We know that the Federal Reserve should be cutting here sooner than later, whether it comes in September or sooner. We do know that we are projecting at least 2 rate cuts this year if things stay on track. So in general, things are looking a lot better within the markets. I think that we could really be seeing a golden opportunity build within the Big Bear, because when macros meet the individual stocks' performance and things look good, this is when we could see the most volume and momentum and the highest push towards the upside. So myself, I am very bullish on the Big Bear, and what I'm really most looking at is their earnings that's going to be coming on the 31st. And so talking about stocks that have been seeing a bunch of momentum recently, Robinhood. The hood is now rich, so it's expensive to be in the hood at $105, and the technical indicators are looking a bit overvalued here as well. The relative strength index and the MACD, we are looking high on those indicators, and of course the candlesticks look crazy also. So some investors could be expecting a pullback within Robinhood, which I could see happening, but if it does happen, I am not concerned, because I am investing into Robinhood consistently, and I am investing into Robinhood for the long term. So I really look at Robinhood as a growth stock because of everything this company is doing. There's a lot of intrinsic value within Robinhood. They have made some big advancements this year with their platform, and they are really more than just a brokerage. And this company does have their earnings accelerating. So we saw their biggest earnings report in quarter 4 of 2024 at $1.1 billion. The earnings were a bit down for the first quarter, but in general, this year of 2025, this company has done a lot. They have acquired Bitstamp, sports betting, and their banking software. So Robinhood really does so much. And as the years go on, I believe that Robinhood will only continue to grow in value as their customer acquisition only continues to go up, because in general, we really are pushing more into the age where everybody is their own portfolio manager. So some still do use big funds, go to big banks to do their management of stocks, especially if you have big money. But I know a lot of members in society are now taking the power into their own hands and investing onto their phones. If you're going to do that, Robinhood is a perfect platform to do that, and is definitely one of the most popular platforms. And so not only does Robinhood look great when it comes to revenue, not only do their fundamentals look fantastic, and of course, the markets are always going to be around, should only continue to get more popular as the years go on, and money should continue to flow. But above all of that, even Robinhood is bullish on Robinhood, because over the years, we are going to see a massive buyback program with Robinhood. They are committing to buying back $1.5 billion worth of shares, and they have already started on that plan. So they have already put hundreds of millions towards that. And myself, while Robinhood is still cheap, which I know sounds crazy at $100, I am taking the opportunity to buy more, because as Robinhood continues to buy back their shares, we will see the float go down, making the shares more valuable. So I'm very excited on all three of these plays, as well as the whole market. Basically, everything was pumping today. So really so much to talk about. I would love to hear everyone else's opinions. So please drop a comment in the section below on if you're invested into any of these plays or anything else in the markets, because again, today was a super green day, and I really always love to hear from you guys. I pick up some news and some stocks sometimes from the comment section. So anytime you guys have a suggestion, I always really appreciate that. So I'd love to hear from you. Also, please leave a like and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. As always, this is Trevor with Green Money Momentum. We were here for Thursday's daily talk of stock. I hope to see you for Fridays. Have a great day.